Hi guys, Matthew Woodward here, and today we're going to take a look at GSA search engine ranker that has come along leaps and bounds in the past year. I'll show you how to use it easily and avoid confusion so you can set things up properly and get the most out of it. You'll learn how to build high quality links to your sites and how to set up tiered link building structures with ease. I'm also going to show you how to use it to remove links, which is a great feature to help protect you against future Google algorithm updates. And this is going to be a long tutorial, so let's just jump right in. So let's jump into the GSA search engine ranker software quickly. And first of all, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the interface, and then we'll drive down into the options and creating projects and things like that. So here you have your project pane, and a list of all of your projects will appear here. Right now there is only one project, and that is the sample project. Up here you have various tools for creating new campaigns and changing options and making sure everything's running. Here you have a list of the last verified links that were built, and they are color coded in that a green link means it is do follow, yellow means it is no follow, and sometimes you get grey links appear which are redirect links, which you can see here. Down here you have a log of all of the different things that are going on in the background, so you can see lots of pinging there, and here we can see where it was submitting URLs. At the bottom you have various stats. Here you can see the current number running threads, which is 0, how many links have been submitted today, how many links were verified today, how many active proxies there are, your number of submitted links per minute, the number of captures sent to capture services and solved, the amount of memory in use, and the CPU usage. So as you can see, a lot of the things are self-explanatory, and if you hold your mouse over various things, it comes up with little tooltips to explain different options to you as well if you get stuck. If you right click on a project, you also get lots of different options here. You can change whether the current project is active or inactive, and there are various different modes of active, so you can have it only verifying links that it is submitted, only verifying emails, only searching for links and verifying them, but for the most part you'll just want the main active tab here. You can also list by priority and also look at the URLs, so we can look at the submitted URLs here and you can export them or even get some more detailed statistics, including some charts and breakdowns, and you can control the time frame here. Or actually here you can, it's also broken down by engine and what type of link it is and which project the link belongs to. If you do exactly the same, but this time we can see the verified URLs. So the verified URLs are links that have been submitted and are currently live and pointing to your site or target URL, whereas submitted means it has not yet been verified that the link is live yet, it has only been submitted. So looking at verified URLs, again, it's all broken down, account of the internal, external links, whether it's do follow or not. We can get stats again and also break it down by an anchor text report as well. And you can see how that's all broken down there. So those stats and these lists of verified URLs are very handy to have and tucked away in this show URLs menu here. You can also choose to select various projects if you want to make bulk changes to them. You can change the sorting of the projects in this window here. You can take a look at the overall diagram of links that have been submitted and verified, and you can break it down here by engine types, blog comment trackback indexer, or actually within the engines themselves, so we can see some keyword love links, some whois links, and some trackback links, etc. there. Again, there are some other options here. Import target URLs is a handy feature to have. Now, if you have scraped your own target list of URLs, perhaps with Scrapebox outside of GSA Search Engine Ranker, and you wanted to import them for submission, you would do that here. Import target URLs, either from file or from clipboard. You can also import them from site lists, but I will cover that shortly. And here you can modify the project, which in essence offers you a lot of the options that you get when you double click and open up a project. But we'll explore that in a little bit more detail later on. So let's take a look at some of the more advanced options quickly. Now, by default, the threads are set at 50. That's fine for most people, but if you've got a more powerful machine and bandwidth to play with, you can increase this. I have a quad-core processor and 16 gig of RAM and an 80 meg fiber line, so I can easily handle 250 threads, but by default, this is 50, which will be fine for most people. Next, you want to make sure you are using proxies. Now, you have two options when it comes to proxies. You can either use GSA Search Engine Ranker to go out and automatically scrape public proxies from all of these different types of sites, and it will test them and verify that they are working for you. And you set that up by telling it to automatically search for new proxies every 60 minutes. When there's only less than 100 active proxies, you want to test proxies and test all of the good ones, and remove bad proxies when they are older than, I don't know, perhaps 3 hours. Now, with that set up, GSA will go out and scrape its own proxies for you. The problem with this is that public proxies aren't that reliable. They're often pretty slow, and you get a much higher level of rate of failure with them, which it really just slow things down. Whereas if you spend perhaps just $10 a month on some semi-dedicated proxies from buy proxies, for example, performance is much greatly increased. You get much higher submission and approval rates, and it's just much more efficient. So for the amount of money it costs to get the private proxies, it really is worth it. So to add your own proxies in that manner, you just need to come to Add Proxy, Import from Clipboard, and I already have them on the clipboard, I think. Yes, and we can mark them as private. So, with your proxies imported, either using private or public, you can then, in the options here, choose when to use the proxies and whether to use public or private ones. Now, I always use them for the search engines, submission, and PR checking, and I always use the private proxies, as I've just explained the differences. If you're just using the public ones, you can leave these unticked or just hit the public ones like that. But seriously, invest in some decent semi-dedicated or private proxies from somebody like Buy Proxies. It is such a lifesaver. Next, you will need to set up capture solving services. Now, GSA supports a huge range of different capture solving services, but you need to understand that there are really two types of capture solving services going on here. You can either use something software based like Capture Sniper or GSA Capture Breaker, and this will for a one-time fee, a piece of software that tries to automatically solve captures for you. Now, these do work pretty well, however, they do also fail quite often. So the best way to set up your capture service is to use, first of all, GSA Capture Breaker as your first and primary service, because this will help you reduce capture costs. But then use a human-based solving service like Def by Capture or deCapture, where any that fail from Capture Breaker get passed on to these services and they're solved by an actual human. And these are like, I think it's like $2 for 1,000 captures solved or something like that. It's really, really cheap. Setting them up is easy. That's GSA Capture setup here. If you've got the software running locally, that will automatically work for you. And then I'm going to add Def by Capture as my secondary service. It's one of the cheaper human-based solving ones, and you just need to enter your login details here, and you can hit test and see your balance. So this is what you should set up, and you can also set the number of retries here, and also some other options of when to use the different capture services. With capture set up, you can move on to indexing. Now it will automatically ping every backlink it creates, and if you want to, you can also integrate one of the many indexing services that GSA supports. We have the GSA SEO indexer is a native support, and other things like Linkalicious, that's a popular one, Nuclear Link Indexer, Backlinks Indexer, Link Pipeline, Lindext, are all really easy to integrate. Tick the box, add the API key, and that is it. Now, I don't really see the need for the use of these indexing services. I know some people like to use them, and if you've got them, then by all means use them. But really, you can avoid having to pay the extra money for these. We can get links indexed by just building more links to them with GSA and save ourselves on these costs. To filter, you can choose to skip submissions if certain URLs or are present, and add to your blacklist. You can leave this at default. You don't really need to drill down into this when you're just getting started. And the advanced section, now you can build site lists that can be used globally by each project. So what that means is, if you had 3 projects here, each project would create a list of identified sites it could post to, successful sites that it did actually post to, verified links that it was actually able to create after successfully submitting them, and the ones that failed and never became live or verified after they were successful. Now, I would suggest that you actually keep a list of your successful and verified submissions, and then you can use these later on in other projects. So if this project here, we can see it's got 189 verified URLs, we could easily, and I will just show you how to do that quickly, if we created a new project, we could say to import the target URLs from site lists, submitted and verified. So you can imagine, after using GSA search engine ranker for a few months, you will have a huge database of submitted and verified links that you can then use across other projects really easily. So I encourage you in the advanced settings here to make sure that these options are ticked, and you can also choose the different formats here and other bits and where they're stored, but the default settings are fine. Just tick these 2 boxes and hit OK. And last but not least, once you have things set up and there's a sample project here and you want things to begin, just click the start button and you'll see GSA fire up, and it's going out right now finding new targets to post links to. As it finds them, it submits the links, and then later on it will actually verify if the links are live or not. And you can see more verified links here, and you'll see this list change as it finds new links. Now, you sometimes get pop-ups like this appear, and what this is when it's trying to submit a link, sometimes there are other fields that need filling out, and GSA doesn't know which option to pick, so it asks you. But this can actually become quite annoying, because really we want GSA to be completely hands off and not bother us with those messages. And a lot of people get stuck with this and wonder how to disable these pop-ups. Look, we can see, here we go, we've got another one coming up here. So how you do that is, if we just hit stop here and come into the project, and in options you can say if a form field can't be filled, choose random. And also make sure ask all services/users to fill captures. So next time GSA gets offered a choice like that, instead of asking you, it will just choose a random. and that is for that specific project only. You will need to do that in each project. Also in options and in capture here, you need to untick this box. So what happens is if the capture services, neither of them work, as a last ditch attempt, GSA will ask you. But we don't really want that to happen. My personal preference is that it just skips over submission and moves on to the next one and just forget about it. So make sure that is unticked. And that's how to avoid those pop-ups. So if we run the start now, we won't see those pop-ups appear. So that is a general overview of the interface, how to start and stop projects, the different options that you need to set up, along with the different campaign-specific options. So let's actually take a look at creating a sample project. Before we do that though, let me give you a quick tour of the sample project. If you double click on it, you can open it up like this, and it might look pretty confusing at first, but don't worry, it's very easy to familiarize yourself with. First of all, on the left hand side here, you can choose what type of links you want to submit. So here we can see blog comments, and if you click the plus here, these are all the different blog comment platforms it supports. And if you hold your mouse over it, you can get some more details of whether you can get a do follow link or not, whether the link has anchor text, if it creates its own page, etc, etc. And you can see there's loads of different types here. We've got articles, blog comments, directories, documents, different exploits, forums, guestbooks, image comments, indexes, microblogs, pingbacks, referrers, social bookmarks, social networks, trackbacks, URL shorteners, video, video adult, web 2, and wikis. Now, a lot of people, when they first come into here, they'll look at something like let's have a look. Like the article section, and here it kind of looks like that GSA doesn't really post to that many different article sites. If you have software like SE Nuke XCR, for example, and look at the articles, you'll have a list of hundreds or maybe even thousands of different article sites to post to. But when you come to GSA, it kind of looks a bit underwhelming. There's not many sites here to post to. But GSA actually works differently in that each of these is a platform, and a platform can be used by thousands of different sites. For example, WordPress is a blogging platform which is used by millions of sites across the internet. And we can see here, if people are using the WordPress article directory plugin, this will post to that platform. So each one of these platforms actually has thousands of different URLs and sites behind it that you can get links from. So it might look underwhelming, but there is an awful lot there, an awful lot of different backlink variety for you to choose from. And you know, each of these, they're broken down really easy, social bookmarks and all the different information about each different type of link. So that is choosing which links you want to use. In this window here, we have to input various data and information, and this actually updates based on what we select here. So if we add social bookmarks, for example, you'll see it's then asking us for some additional details like login to use passwords and categories and descriptions. If we untick that again, you can see it's only providing the options needed for the trackbacks, indexes, and blog comments. In here, you have also lots of other different options, and we will go through these in detail when we set up our campaign. But this allows you to really fine-tune things and take some real control over your campaign. And there's lots of new options being added to GSA in the past year that gives you much more granular control over the links that you create than it used to. So that is what the actual project campaign and editing looks like. Let's move on to creating our own. If you just come to new here, this will create a new project. And the first thing that we want to do is select the types of links we're going to use in our project. Now, there's not a one size fits all answer for this. Depending on the goals of your campaign and what you're building links to is going to change what settings you use here. But as a general rule of thumb, if you are building links to your money site, you want to make sure that you're using contextual, high quality links. And a contextual link is a link with relevant content surrounding it. So examples of these might be, if we just untick the default options here to avoid any confusion, that may be articles and social networks and wikis and web 2s. And then you may also choose to add perhaps videos, social bookmarks, and document sharing and directories, for example. But in this example, we're just going to keep it pretty simple, and we are going to set up something with article directories, social bookmarks, social networks, web 2s and wikis, all of which will provide contextual links to your site. Once you have set these up, we need to move into these settings. The first thing that you're going to add is the URL to your money site. It's also worth noting, if you get stuck on any of these fields, just mousing over provides much more detailed explanations throughout. So if you do get stuck and you're not sure, everything is well explained, as you can see. So the URL. This is the URL or URLs. You can have more than one that you want to build links to. And if you have more than one URL in this field, GSA will automatically rotate through them and pick a random URL each time. You can also choose to use URL variations when it is building the links, and you can see the different samples there, and that basically just changes on whether it's using capital letters or not. This is actually quite a good option and mixes things up really nicely. So you could perhaps drop that to 10% just to keep things not blatantly manipulated, but show that variation. In the keywords field, these are the keywords that it will use to go out and find relevant sites to post your links to. So really here you want as long a list of keywords as you can that's relevant to your campaign, separated by a comma. And I already have them prepared, so I can paste them in here. And that looks like I haven't got many in there, but I actually have. And 1 minute, let me just re-add that. There we go. You can also choose to collect more of these keywords from target sites as it goes, and then use those keywords to find new targets. So they are handy options to have. I'm not going to use them in this example. And when searching for sites to post to, you can tell it to search in quotes and get more laser targeted matches. And that's quite a handy option to have, especially when building links to your money site. Now, the anchor text setting, these are the anchor text that will be used and should be the keywords that you are actually trying to rank for in here. So I have some of those ready and we can drop them in there. And it's important to note this must be in syntax, whereas that is comma separated. You can, if you want, you can use these keywords as your anchor text instead of these. If you want to do that, tick that box, but I like to keep the control over the anchor text here and leave that unticked. Now, where this becomes really interesting is how GSA can automatically build out a natural looking link profile that isn't over optimized and going to get hit by Penguin. So you can actually tell it, okay, well, I want maybe, I don't know, 25% of my links to be a partial match anchor. And a partial match anchor is, if we have payday loan here, that's an exact match anchor. But if we had cheap payday loan, that would be a partial match anchor because it still includes our main phrase payday loan, but it's actually cheap payday loan. So it only partially matches the anchor text. So you should prepare a list of partially matching anchor text, and we can see we have done that there. And you can also choose to include branded anchor text, which is also quite important. Again, you can tweak the percentage, but a branded anchor in our example, our site is yourdomain.com, so our brand name might be your domain. Your domain. You know, if this was the matthewwoodward.co.uk blog, for example, you might write Matthew Woodward without a space and then with the .co.uk. That would be my branded anchor. So you can choose to use branded anchors as well. I suggest that you do so, and you can just give that a tick there. And you can also use LSI anchor text. So you could take your anchor text here, use the Google Wonder Wheel or Scrapebox, for example, to pull in some more related terms and drop that in here. The other two options that I always tick is generic anchor text. These are anchor text like click here, view more, get more information, and you can see a list of the default generic anchors it comes with, pretty extensive here. But I always like to tick that and try and boost that up as much as possible here. Down here, well, actually, I'm going to explain the use citation option. If you have branded anchor text defined, using a citation, it will, instead of creating a link, it will create just a naked text URL, just mentioning your brand name. Now, this really helps make your profile look natural, because not everyone, when they write about you or publish something, includes an actual link. Sometimes it's just the raw HTML anchor or just talking about a company and they don't link back to it. So using the citation means a portion of your links will be created without a link, but will actually mention your name, and this indirectly helps with the naturalness of your profile. So using citations at a very low percentage really does help you out, and you know, I suggest that you do that. Last but not least, anchor text variations, and it explains it here, but like the URL variation up here that changes the HTTP, sometimes it's capital, sometimes it's not, sometimes the first letter in the domain is capital, sometimes it's not. Exactly the same, but for anchor text. Sometimes the first letter's capitalized and the second letter's not, and it really helps mix it up. I like to tick that. And this variation applies to all of these settings here. So as you can see, the amount of control you have over the anchor text that's built to your site, the partial matches, the branding, whether you're using generic terms, blank citations, and the anchor text variations, really does allow you to have control over a natural looking profile. So I suggest you spend time setting this section up and not skimping over it. Here I've just used some sample content. There's not been a major amount of thought put into that. It's just to show you how it all plugs in. But once that's set up, we can move on to the other fields. Next, you want to move on to filling out the About Yourself section. Now, this includes some default content that you can use, or you can use something like Content Machine, come into Tools and the About Me builder, and generate as many as you need really easily, and then just paste it into this box here. In fact, you can use Content Machine to automatically fill all of these fields out for you in one go, and I'll show you that later on in the tutorial. But you can grab some About Me content here and drop that in. Coming down, you can define logins and passwords that are used, but by default the randomize box is ticked, so it will automatically create them for you. Website title. This is used in the bookmark submissions and is the title of your website. So I have some content prepared. I can drop that in. And category, you need to come to edit, and you can either use a list of suggested categories here, and which I might do, and hit OK, or you can add some root categories here, and if you use a star, a wildcard, it will try and match any category close to that. So I'm just going to add finance and money and loan. And once that's done, you can hit OK. And what this will actually do, is when there are categories that it needs to choose, it will go through these and try and find the best match based on what you've already put in. So you can hit OK there. The description, if you're submitting bookmarks, this is the bookmark description, which we can put in here. The forum comment, this sometimes gets used in the wikis that we have set up. You can leave it at default or create your own content to go in there, just some general thanks for the information kind of type thing. In here, a longer description for bookmark sites that use a longer description, but I tend to just use the same 250 description here. This may sometimes lead to a higher failure rate, but for the amount of time it takes to write 2 different descriptions, the time invested versus a reward ratio just isn't there. Coming down, forum nickname forward password, again randomize. This will automatically create usernames and passwords, and also a forum subject, but we won't be using that. You can leave it at default. Once all of that is ready, we just have a few more tabs to work through to set up our campaign. First of all, we have the article manager, which allows us to import articles to use for the submissions. I'm going to come back to this in a minute because there's quite a little bit that I want to discuss here. So let's jump to the options. Now, we have lots of options to work through here, which can be quite confusing, but trust me, it's pretty simple. So, first of all, you can choose to pause a project after a certain amount of submissions or verifications. So you could say, I want to pause a project after 100 submissions for 1 day. So after it's submitted 100 links, it won't submit any more links until the next day, and it will submit another 100. Or you can say, actually, I want it to pause after it's successfully verified 100 live links. And you get different options here as you click through them. Okay, so that's how you control the drip feed of the links being built. If you've set up the capture solving services in the options, you need to make sure this box is ticked, and you want to ask all services to fill captures. You can also get it to override the global retry option that we set earlier, but you can just leave this for the most part. If a form can't be filled, remember those annoying pop-ups we were getting before asking us for other information? Change this to choose random, and then you won't get those pop-ups, and GSA will just pick something at random and move through. Enable custom mode, you don't need to know anything about. These verify link options you can leave at default if you want to. There's not really any need to change them. Send verified links to indexer services, so this includes the pingers, and if you have the other options set up, you need to make sure they're ticked. Use character spinning when possible. Avoid this option. If you're building links to your money site, we don't want to be using that. And you can randomly use typos and spelling errors in descriptions to help fight duplicate content. This is actually a pretty cool option, and it makes things look much more human, like it's been done by a human and they've made a little mistake. So tick that box, play with the percentage. Try to always place a URL of an anchor text. I always leave that unticked, and continuously try to post to a site even if failed before. I leave that unticked. If you need to use tags, you can choose to use anchor text or keywords. So sometimes when you submit a bookmark, it asks you to add tags. Here you can choose whether to use the anchor text as a source. here, or the keywords as a source here. Anchor text is generally fine. Now, here we get to choose, in fact, I'm just going to minimize that to make it a little bit less confusing. How to get target URLs. So, what GSA Search Engine Ranker does is it looks at all of these different types of platforms and combines them with your keywords here to find target sites to post to. And to do that, it uses search engines. So we have lots of different search engines here that it can use as the source. But if you right click and you can just say check by country, for example, and I tend to always just check by country and United States. But if you were trying to rank as a site in the Spanish market, for example, you might choose Spain here. Ooh. United States, okay. And that will, if we scroll through, it's a bit too far, you'll see that it's ticked the various American-based search engines for us. I like to always use keywords to find target sites. This does return less results, but it returns more relevant and accurate results, which is what you really want when you're building links to your money site. Remember before we were talking about in the options the global site list where you could collect URLs that have been submitted and verified from other projects. If you want to use those lists, tick this box. If not, untick it. Oops. And you can also choose to analyze and post to competitor backlinks. Now, this is a pretty good feature, but it does have some flaws. What it does is it will look at the current sites that are ranking for a given keyword and try to replicate their backlink profile. Now, it doesn't work amazingly well, but it does work to some degree. The drawback with it, though, is if you have, say, down here said, I only want to get links from domains PR3 and above, and your competitor has a really low quality spammy link, if this box is ticked, it will try and replicate that spammy link and ignore these settings. It will also, if down here you said, right, I don't want to use microblogs, but your competitor has a microblog link, it will create it. It will ignore the fact that you haven't got it ticked here. So this option is handy, but it also introduces an uncontrolled risk. So use that at your own will. Here, once we have set up how to get our target URLs, we can set up scheduled posting. I generally don't use this, but if you wanted to get more than one link from the same site, you could tick that and you could change these options here to limit how many times you hit that site so an account doesn't get banned and your links deleted, etc. The filter URLs options, which is the last set of options on this screen, is very important, especially if you're building links to your money site. Lots of options here. First of all, you can choose to skip sites with more than X amount of outgoing links on one page. So if GSA says, right, I'm going to build a link from this page, but it's got too many outbound links already, it will skip it. But if it falls under that number, it will build the link. Now, there's been lots of studies and annual reviews of data and things, and it tends to be on average sites have around 125 links on them in a page. So you can actually increase this quite safely to 100. You can also choose to skip building sites if the PR is below a certain number or not. Now, the argument here is that if you're only building links from domains that have PageRank 3 to 6, that doesn't create a very natural profile. But if you build lots of links from very low quality sites, that also doesn't build a natural profile. So, I like to skip sites with a PR below 0. Now, remember, with PR you have NA, which means Google's given it no PR value at all, it doesn't really care. Or you can have PR 0, which means Google has looked at it and has assigned a PR value of 0. So I like to go from 0. Anything below 0, anything that's an NA gets skipped, and anything 0 and above is fine. This helps create something natural. You might also want to create a secondary project that only builds high PR links, for example, so you can get that real mix of links. You can also choose to skip unknown PR. If you want to retain as much control as possible, you should keep this ticked. And then you can say, well, am I checking against the PR of the actual domain or the actual page? Now, if you use PR of actual page, you're going to get a lot less results. So use PR of domain. Here, you can choose what type of backlinks to create. Now, I know we have these options ticked here, but if you have the competitor backlinks ticked, you can have a little bit more control here. And also within each of these link types are different types of links within link types, if that makes sense. So, for example, if which is a good example here. Sometimes you can create. Let's have a look. If you were creating a profile, sometimes you might create a profile that has a URL link, or sometimes you might create a profile that has an anchor text link, or sometimes you might create a profile that's got some contextual content on it here. If you didn't want to create those types, you could untick them. Here as well, you can try to skip creating nofollow links, and remember, if you mouse over these, you can see, does this create a do follow link or not? Ticking this option, it will try and skip creating nofollow links. The problem with this is, and I know a lot of people like nofollow and do follow links and etc., is a natural link profile does have an element of nofollow links and do follow links. So to say only create do follow links is unnatural. So I leave this unticked, because we're trying to fly under the radar here. You can also skip sites where bad words appear, and you can see this. So you might even learn some new swear words going through this list. You use it at your own discretion, but you can add and edit and import and delete words that are bad and you don't want to build links from. This is generally a good option to tick if you're building links to your money site. And you can also do the same thing where the words appear in the URL or domain. You can also choose to tick to skip sites from different countries and that are in different languages. Again, use this at your own discretion. Next, come up to the email verification tab. And you can see here there is already an email address in place for us, but we don't really want to use this. Really, there's 3 different types of email address. You get what this is, which is a disposable email address that doesn't require you to create an account, and there's loads of disposable ones for you to choose from here. The problem is that if you use a disposable email address, a lot of these sites that you're going to be posting to have anti-spam measures and actually block these domains from signing up entirely. So you're going to get a really high fail rate. The next one is webmail-based services like Hotmail, Gmail, AOL, Mail.com, for example. These require you to sign up for an account, and you can actually create an account here, Hotmail and Google Mail, Yahoo, for example. And these are not as widely blocked as the disposable emails, although you will find that some sites do still block webmail based signups to help protect against spam. Not many, but some of them do, so you do get a bit of a failure rate using a Hotmail address, for example. And the final type of email address is a self-hosted one at your own domain name.com. You can use a catch-all in cPanel, for example, and that will get you the highest success rate. But 99% of people are going to be fine using a Hotmail or Gmail account. You can either create them down here or do what I do, and I buy them, like you can buy like a couple of hundred of them from Fiverr that work really well. So let's add our Hotmail account. You just click add. And let me grab the email address, and you can see it's automatically worked out the server settings for us, which is a handy feature. All you need to do is drop the password in down there. delete the temporary email. We don't want to use that. Just delete the selected. And down here you have some options. I like to wait at least 15 minutes between 2 logins, and you can leave the rest of them at default. Last but not least, test this, because if this doesn't work, your entire campaign is at risk. So let's just test that that login works okay, and we can see everything is successful. So the last thing that we need to do is add some articles with the article manager. Now the article manager, you need to put some additional thought into this. If you're building links directly to your money site, it is important that you prepare hand-spun high quality content, and I recommend you check out the advanced spinning tutorial to learn how to do this properly. Now the article manager has quite a few different options, so I'm just going to take you through the general setup quickly and those variations. So assuming you've got article or articles prepared, all you need to do, let's move this out of the way quickly, is click on add, enter manually, and you can add the title in there along with the actual article body, which, let me just grab that into there. The summary box, it will automatically use the first paragraph of the article, and we can have a preview of this here. Okay, and you can see that it's added the links in for us. If you click on OK, that is one article added. If you wanted to add another article, which I have here, article 2, you just again click add, enter manually, and we can drop the title in and also the actual article body. Just grab that and hit OK. Then down here you have some additional options. Now, how to insert the link. Sometimes it will insert the link into a sentence at the bottom or within the article, or just randomly add the link in the middle of the article somewhere, which makes no sense, or have it add no link at all. If you have the sentence at the bottom, let me just preview that and show you what it looks like. 1 minute. It adds it like this at the bottom. This sentence here, it's like a random sentence that it adds in. It lacks control, to be honest. You don't have much control over what is placed here, and I think this places risk if you are building links directly to your money site. So what you should actually do, and I go over this in the advanced spinning tutorial, is actually when you spin the articles, you should add the links in directly. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. GSA Search Engine Ranker actually provides a handy tag for us, which looks like, let me just paste it in here, looks like this. And it says ahref equals %URL %anchor text. And what it will do is it will replace %URL with the URLs here and the %anchor text with the anchor text here. So what I recommend that you actually do is, when preparing your content, which I've lost, here it is, you actually add the links in at that point, and then in GSA you can select to insert no link. Also, following my spinning tutorial, you'll be adding contextual links which actually help disguise what you're doing a little bit more and make it look a bit more natural. Where there is variation between this and the advanced spinning tutorial is in the advanced spinning tutorial I teach you to add images and videos at random. You can actually skip over this step, as GSA will do that for you, and you can choose how many to add here. So that saves you a bit of time and preparation on the spinning of the content. All you actually need to do is create the article, spin the text, add your money site links and add your contextual links, and then it is ready to add into GSA here. This is assuming that you are building links direct to your money site. So you have other options here. Do not submit duplicate articles per account, per site domain, etc. So I choose anywhere because we don't want duplicate content anywhere. And that is essentially your money site linking campaign set up. And once that is done, you can click on OK. And you will see the campaign is here. And if you want to rename it, you can do so. Modify project, rename, and just, I don't know, money site campaign, for example. Anytime you want to change options, just double click and it opens up here. Like before, you have that same right click menu to get all of the submitted and verified URLs and all the different diagrams and charts and everything like that. And that is pretty much how you set up a campaign with GSA Search Engine Ranker. So now you know how to set up a campaign, let's look at some of the other things that we can do. Way back in May 2012, I asked the GSA team if they could integrate tiered link building into GSA, and as you can see straight away they came back here and said they were adding that feature. Which is a real testament to the GSA team. A lot of the updates that come out are and new features are off the back of user request, and tiered link building is one of those that they released. It was like a week after I requested it, they built this in. So to set up a tiered link building campaign, it's pretty much the same as a normal campaign. Here we have got the campaign that we just created. So let's say we want to create a second tier of links to that. We will just click new and create a new campaign and set it up as we have done previously. I'm just going to enter some dummy content in there. The only difference is, though, we need to tick this box and it says use verified URLs of another project, and if you tick that, you choose the project, your tier 1 project, which is this money site campaign, and click on OK. So what this will do, and let's just create that, click OK and give it a name. So as you can see here, what this campaign will do is build links to the verified links of this campaign. So this is tier 1 to your money site, and this is tier 2 to your tier 1. And if you wanted to add a third tier, again, new, set everything up, use verified URLs of another project, and this time we would pick the tier and hit OK, and OK again. And there we go, we have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So using your knowledge of how to set up a campaign now, you can see how easy it is to create a tiered linking structure. One of the other cool features is the ability to remove links that GSA has created. Now, the problem with Google and SEO in general is they're always moving the goalposts. So what works now might not work in 12 months and may in fact get you penalized. If that happens, you need to go and clean up your backlink profile, which is a very long and drawn out process. But any links created with GSA, if you just right click on the project that created the links and change the status to active remove links, that, when you're running it, will actually go through all the links that it has created, log in and remove them. There are some types of links it can't remove, like blog comments where you don't register and have control over the content once it's submitted, but a lot of the links it can log in and remove them for you, which is a really, really cool feature. Now, if you want to set up campaigns quickly, and you'll certainly want to do this on your tiers, you can actually take advantage of the import function down here, combined with Content Machine. Now, Content Machine, there's a much more detailed tutorial about how to use it, but let me show you quickly. It has already got my content prepared. I can hit build and export, come down to GSA Search Engine Ranker, click on export. We can save that somewhere and click save, and that will export it out for us. Once that's done, we can hit OK and come back to GSA, Tools, Import, Data Fields, GSA, and you can choose which fields you want it to fill. Hit OK, and you'll see straight away it has populated all of our content and all of the fields for us, which is a great time saver when you are working on the lower tiers. And if you give it a test here, you can see that content in there. So that's a quick way of setting up and generating content. You can also use in here, we have an article manager. And if you click on add, you can search online and mix the articles. So you can mix either just paragraphs and sentences, or just sentences. And you just enter your search term and it will go out and scrape those for you and bring back articles. You do need to set up your spin config settings here for that to work though. It supports a range of different spinning software in here, like the Best Spinner, Word AI, Spin Cheap, Spinner Chief, and so on. So there's just a couple more options you have when it comes to either generating some content or actually completely populating the entire project with ease using Content Machine. So by now you should know your way around GSA Search Engine Ranker very well and be familiar with all of the different options and how to use it. Once you've got all your campaigns set up to kick everything off, all you need to do is hit start and that will go out and begin building everything out for you as you've set it up. So there we have it. GSA Search Engine Ranker really has come a long way the past year and has been updated nearly every single day with bug fixes, minor features and major features. It can post to a huge range of link platforms and includes a bunch of advanced features such as the anchor text control. One of the features I really like though is the ability to remove links GSA has created in one click. Who knows what Google will penalise next, and that is a handy feature to have. You can also pick it up for a one-time fee rather than an expensive monthly subscription like SE Nuke XCR, and you'll be surprised at just how cheap it actually is. All in all, GSA Search Engine Ranker is an essential link building tool to have in your arsenal. See ya! Well, if you made it this far, you must have enjoyed the video, so thank you for watching. If you have any questions, then head over to my blog by clicking on the logo on your screen now. Or leave them in the comments underneath this video. You can check out some of my other videos, just click on the one you want to watch next. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog. See ya!